All right, so the Fed made an announcement the other day saying, hey, all is clear. So markets did power higher yesterday into the close. And even today, we are pushing a little bit higher into the market. So I want to go in and review a couple of stocks and just show you a couple of key levels on different positions and things like that. So that way you can see, hey, what are some of the technicals saying? I will go in and just give you a little idea from, if we look at the SPY, it is trending quite a bit higher on the day-to-day basis, and even on the weekly. I've got these bars just color coded. Anything above the moving average here of 89, it'll color green. But even then, we're still going in, continuing this trend with multiple bars to the upside. If I don't have them color coded, let me see if I've got a regular one. Here we go. Week wise, as I say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, almost 5 bars to the upside in terms of the weeks. So it's pretty significant, and market's heading quite a bit higher. We are almost coming into the SPY on the upper range here at 4,800 or 480 on the SPY, 4,800 on the SPX, and kind of coming into this zone and level. So I want to chat and take a look at a couple of different stocks. We're going to look at, the first one is UPST. So this is Upstart, and I'll show you a couple of key levels that I would watch and keep my eye on. So here is UPST. This is one of the levels that I am looking at right here, and looked at as stock powered higher. The volume's picking up, so I also highlight my volume. Usually, in many cases, if it's above about 20% more than the average. In this case, you can see we were picking up some speed and steam. Here's kind of the regular chart view. Maybe you guys prefer that. So this is one of the levels. Overall, this stock is, been down, trending down, but from a shorter term perspective, it is pushing into some higher prices, and I think it's, looks okay for the time being. The next one we want to take a look at is TLT, also trending. Looking at the weekly is really what I'm watching, and even the monthly. When you can see we're down way at the 85 on the longer term. Wow, look at this, almost from 2002 coming into the lows. And when you're looking at this, wow, that is quite a bit. So we're getting kind of a push higher. I think that's to be expected. So if we look at the weekly, we're starting to press into higher prices. You'll probably get resistance at around 100, nice even number right around there. And then on the daily, we're continuing to move well. So I'll stick here to the stacked, and you can see just trending down, 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 and now we're kind of converting into a possible greenish bullish scenario. Of course, with the bullish scenarios, be a little bit mindful that we could get a little bit of a pullback anytime, even temporarily. But that's just normal pullbacks in normal market conditions. All right, PayPal's another one I'm looking at. So again, looking at the weekly, this thing's been trending down, 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 and it's still kind of trending to the downside to some level on the longer term. So you can see the longer term in the past here looking good up, then we're going down. Now we're starting to make a move higher, and if we're watching this at this point, you're starting to see some things kind of turn around. You're also looking and seeing this level of support right there, where the stock's doing well. You've got a good breakout. Volume's not picking up as much as I like yet, but it's kind of moving. It's moving. Nothing amazing, but moving. If you look at the shorter term, let's say 15-minute, you could say there is more volume coming in compared to, in the past volumes here. So that's also a good sign. And if you look at, again, the couple of weeks, here's basically a month, we've got resistance, nice breakout. So again, longer term, still kind of down, but shorter term, it's actually starting to move, and it could be a little bit of an early entry. So maybe more along the lines of a possible nibbling opportunity in that case. All right, so that's PayPal. Next one I want to take a look at is, let's look at Roku. Roku is one, I'm starting to get a little bearish on this one, just because it was coming into some higher prices, and stocks were having some trouble, but then you had Netflix that was powering quite higher. So then I had to reverse course, and we could actually continue to move well to the upside. So now we've got this little pullback right there, trying to break again. I'd like to see it do it with some more volume, but it's not there yet. But overall, things are lined up for bullish move. Obviously, it can come down to 95 or 90 and hit some of those support levels without an issue, and then bounce. But for the time being, it is looking stronger, than it was in the past. This stock does move pretty quick, so if you kind of blink and you miss it, it can be an issue. Also on the weekly, it looks pretty good, like it's starting to clear that zone and space, in a way, kind of like we're also trending or turning around. That also looks healthy. So this one looks pretty good for a possible longer term setup. Right now, we had in the morning, we had a kind of a nice gap up on the open, pullback right now. So if we can kind of hold this level, that should be good for the stock. If not, that could be a problem. Okay, next one we'll take a look at is going to be Amazon. It's one of the big boys. So when we're looking at Amazon, one thing I'm looking at here is kind of the weekly chart. So as we go into the weekly, what I'm watching and looking, here's kind of resistance, what we've got. Now this also comes into this previous area of support. And what you're seeing is you're trying to clear that area. A little bit of a concern. We got a little bit of a decline in volume. So watch that volume a little bit more closely. But if you look at the daily, the other thing that I kind of do like is we are starting to break this level, but of course I'd prefer to do it on stronger volume. So if we can push a little bit more rather than roll over, because again, the market is a little toppy, this would be good and healthy for the stock. Overall, we're also kind of starting to trend more longer term to the upside. So this is also good news. All right. Next one that we'll chat about is Target. So another one that's been kind of underwater for quite some time. If you kind of look at, let's say, the weekly, the stock was doing quite well with time, and then we broke down over here. So that was around 2022. Stock's been going down ever since for quite a while. But on the short term, we are starting to move. So after this gap up, which does slightly concern me, the stock is moving well. Now, one thing I'll watch is kind of this resistance level right here. That's around that 137, 38 level, almost 140, and the stock's starting to clear it. I wonder if we're getting temporarily stretched simply because of this earnings. It could be shorts piling in because it's kind of going up slowly. And overall, on the longer term, we're still, from the weekly, we're still kind of in this downward pattern. Normally, what I'd like to see is a pullback and then a break in there. Otherwise, this can be a little bit too far, too fast, too soon. So that's one thing to watch. And then the last one I'll do is Walmart. So with Walmart also having a little bit of trouble, kind of like Target, stock was doing well, had this little problem right here on the gap down. And we know most of the time gaps get filled. This one did not yet. Here's the resistance level. And then you also have this resistance longer term at about 154, where if you take a look, here's my weekly chart. So we've got all these points kind of lining up on the chart. So if we look at that line here and we look at kind of what's going on the shorter term basis, note what's happening with the stock. It tried hold, trying to hold, and then it got under it at this spot, coming back in and now kind of rejecting it. So what I would watch is watch this level. You can set an alert for a price of about 154, call it 154 and a quarter, to see if it breaks. Because if it breaks this 154 and a quarter, then I'm going to move it up right there and set that alert. Then in that case, that could be a nice entry point. You want stocks to power higher and push in that way. So that's what I've got as far as these stocks are concerned. If we look at the SPY, where we up about 19 points. So it's coming back to this level right now. We'll see if it can kind of hold this and maybe continue to power higher back to where it was, because we were at the upper end over here, but now we're kind of giving it back just slightly. So anyways, thank you so much for joining me. Truly appreciate it. Feel free to check out the website, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.